Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another in the series of Vegans Across the World. Today, we are in Japan, and we're talking to Yuki. Hello, Yuki.
Hey,
How
Stacy.
are you?
Good.
So, what we're going to do, Yuki, is we're going to go and I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to show everybody where you're at, and we're going to give some facts about the area. So, when I show my screen, just let me know that you're seeing it.
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Now you were in Fukuoka. I don't want to say that wrong. Is that how you say
That's
it?
right.
Fukuoka?
That's right.
I don't know why this map has moved us around. We should be centered here. And we will move in to see where you are. I got to do a little adjusting there. I would like to get up closer. All right, there we go. All right, we're centering on your little red dot there. So let me give a little bit of information about Japan itself. Japan is an island country in East Asia in the Northwest Pacific Ocean. It consists of 6,852 islands. And Tokyo, the city of Tokyo, which is on another island from you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the largest city in the world, which I didn't know. I did not know. Now, if I say if I pronounce any words wrong while I'm
Okay.
doing this, go ahead and correct me.
Okay. So far, so
So,
good.
okay. So, Japan is home of the world's oldest company. It's called Congo Gumi. It was established in the year 578, and it specializes in the construction of temples and shrines. So, I thought that was kind of interesting because I thought, wow, to be in business that long, how many temples and shrines do you have to build? And how long does it take?
Right. I didn't even know
Uh,
about that.
yeah. Let's see. There is one vending machine for every 24 people. I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, you might find there were so many interesting facts about Japan when I was looking up these things. I had to pick and choose what to include. So if you find some things kind of odd, that might be more telling about me than it is about Japan. Japanese crown melons can cost over $200 each. Did you know that?
Japanese what? Crown muffins?
They're called crown melons. They're just
Oh,
melons. They're fruit.
melons. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Was it because sumo wrestlers used to give them as tokens to uh, their teachers or something like that? So it's just they just hold them in self esteem or in high esteem. I meant to say. Japan, now this is interesting because Japan imports 80% of Jamaica's Blue Mountain coffee. The reason that is so interesting is because I just aired an interview with somebody in Jamaica and we talked about Blue Mountain coffee.
No.
So I thought that was
No.
really, really interesting. I said, I'll have to try it now because it's supposed to be a very rare coffee. And you
Mhm.
guys take 80% of it.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. They have a popular dish made out of raw horse flesh, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's true.
Um, yeah, let's see. Oh, I might say this wrong. Referred to as taikomochi, men were the first geishas. They were sort of jesters. So they were just they entertained people. I guess that's what geishas supposed to. But geishas are very well known from Japan all around the world. But I did not know this. But anyway, men were the first ones. And it wasn't until 25 years after they were popular that Geico or Geico, it is spelled like Geico, which is an insurance company. But they're known as geisha now.
Uh-huh.
They then outnumbered them about 25 years after that. Slurping your noodles loudly is evidence of enjoying your meal and said to enhance the flavor. There are more seniors than children there, and with a life expectancy of about 84 years old. And they sell more adult diapers than baby diapers. Did you know that?
No.
One of the lowest that you have one of the lowest crime rates in the world. All of Japan does.
Mm-hmm.
In the Japanese city of Kawasaki, on the first Sunday in April, they have a festival called Kanamara Matsuri, which means something like the Festival of the Phallus of Steel.
Festival of what?
It's called, all right, I might be saying it wrong,
Uh-huh.
Kanamara Matsuri.
Uh-huh.
And it's loosely translated as the Festival of the Phallus of Steel, where just about everything, including candy, vegetables, and decorations, are shaped like a penis,
Oh,
and
right, right.
and
Right,
other things related to fertility.
right.
So, if you want to visit Japan and have a really good time at a festival, go at the beginning of April. And they have you guys have about 1,500 earthquakes a year
Mm.
and a population of over 126 million as of the 2019 census. So, what I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen and I'm going to get back to us. Yuki, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, of course. I'm so thrilled to have you. So let's start out by getting to know you a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? For example, what do you do? And maybe what kind of activism might you be involved in?
Oh, okay. Right now, I work at Animal Rights Center Japan, which is the main like animal protection organization in Japan. And so I've been working here the past little over 2.5 years now. So doing a lot of activism, both, well, not just activism, but a lot of research about um, like, well, we are basically promoting to people, educating people, the public, mostly about livestock animals, especially. We deal with like animals used for clothing and experimentation and stuff too, but we focus most on livestock animals because not many other organizations do that in Japan. So
Yeah.
I also engage with volunteers to help with corporate negotiations, corporate outreach, and yeah, and I do a lot of translation or just like investigating things, information about overseas, because Japan is actually very behind in terms of animal welfare, for example. Like, yeah, it's pretty the
Animal
situation.
welfare laws, you mean, like protecting them from
Yeah,
abuse and stuff like that?
not just the laws, but the actual practice of, like, for example, over 99% of the eggs in Japan come from battery caged hens. And like about 90% of farms use gestate sow stalls still. Um, yeah, so it's pretty outdated in terms of like how people treat animals. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I try to bring in like more information and technology from overseas to Japan. So and not as much because and also I do like street activism too, but
Okay.
lately it's been more difficult with the COVID situation.
Are
Yeah.
you guys in lockdown or anything like that right now?
Not exactly lockdown, but it's emergency declaration. So like we we cannot do like street activism as a as an organization in certain
Okay.
cities, including Fukuoka. Yeah.
Okay. Now, any information, any organizations, or anything we talk about on here that you would like me to share, everybody knows it's going to be below the video for them to check it out, and including any social media links to yourself.
Hmm.
And so if they want to get in touch, if you want, if you want them to get in touch with you, we'll include everything below the
Okay,
video.
great.
Okay. So tell me, where are you originally from? Are you originally from Japan or the area that you're in?
Oh no, yeah, I'm kind of from Japan, but I was actually born in the U.S. I just happened to be born in
Really?
Illinois. Yeah,
What
because
part?
my Carbondale, Southern Illinois.
I know where Carbondale is. I've been to
Really?
Carbondale.
Okay.
I had a friend in Carbondale for a while.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, my dad happened to be studying there as a graduate student when I was born. So, but when I was 5, he finished his studies, so we went back to Japan. And so I grew up as a pretty normal Japanese kid in Japan, going to elementary school there. But when I was 12 years old, in middle school, my family moved to the U.S. again, just for 2 years. This time in Michigan.
What was that like? I mean, so you grew up until you were 5. You grew up in
Yeah.
Carbondale, Illinois. So you
Oh,
spoke
actually,
fluent English by then. So,
no. Actually,
or were you just
no,
around your
within our
family, maybe?
family, we spoke in Japanese, and
Okay.
some of my friends were also. We actually, my dad moved to University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, so from age 1 to 5, we were in Ann Arbor, where there were quite a few like Japanese friends, families. So I was hanging out with them, and so I could I guess I probably could speak some English, but not much.
Okay, so then you move back over to Japan
Yeah.
and you're there until you're 12. So what was it like readjusting to coming back to the States then and having to, well, you were only for 2 years. So when did you learn English?
That was those 2 years was when I learned English.
Was it hard? Because they
Uh,
say it's usually easier if you had been younger, right?
right. It was pretty hard. It was hard because I by that time I had totally forgotten all of my English from before, and
Yeah.
I didn't remember much about the U.S. at all. So it was a big shock for me to go to the U.S. and that actually changed my life, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did that change your life? Because now you do translations and what are you talking about? Learning English or moving back to
No,
the States?
that's like so. When I went to the U.S., I got very interested in like NASA and like space exploration. So I wanted
Okay.
to become an astronaut,
Oh.
and that became my dream when I went to the U.S. And so I actually even after 2 years, I wanted to stay in the United States to continue studying there to like someday join NASA and like become an astronaut.
And what
So
did
that
you pursue through that?
yeah,
What did you
so
end up pursuing?
right. So after the 2 years with my family, we did have to go back to Japan, but I kept wanting to go back to the US to pursue my studies. So after a year, when I was 15 years old, I from high school on, I went back to Michigan to go to high school there, just by myself, and
Wow. So
and
they
then
sent you over by yourself? You were, or did you do an exchange student type of thing?
it was not an exchange. I found a family who could host me to be a legal guardian so I can go to a public high school in Michigan. And so, yeah, it was an informal thing, but I was able to do that, thankfully.
Wow,
And
you've had an interesting life.
yeah, so I was just super excited and motivated at that time to just, yeah, my mind was all into like becoming an astronaut. So
So what line of study did you end up in?
yeah, so then I went to California to study physics. Um, yeah, and it was really hard, but yeah, I went to Los Angeles, and then I went on to graduate school, and I spent I went on to master's program in astronomy and physics. That was in the UK, and then I even went on to PhD program in physics, focusing on astrophysics.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Mm.
You've traveled a lot too, huh? So
Yeah,
that's
I
that's pretty cool.
I
So how
love.
did you end up back in Japan and getting settled where you are now?
Well, it's a very long story in between. I like you like you said, I do love traveling. So there was a several years, like 5 years in within my life where I just traveled around, like finding jobs in different parts of the world. And then but um but then like about, let's see, 5 years ago, I 5 or 6 years ago, I was like thinking about like, oh, what do I want to do next? Where do I want to travel, or what do I want to do next? And then the the issues about all the animal suffering in animal agriculture really like just kept coming back to me, and thinking that I really need to do something about it. So I started looking for uh, how I can contribute to that. And eventually I was able to find this animal rights center, Japan. So 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I came back to Japan to help with that.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, you're married, right?
Yeah,
And
recently.
you guys are known as the vegan couple over there.
Well,
And
we're
they're
not.
actually uh-oh, I lost your audio.
Oh, okay. Well, we're
There you go.
we're probably not very well known yet, but yeah.
Well, but I think you're known as the vegan couple, and there's another that vegan couple. I think you probably have you ever heard of them? They're pretty popular.
Oh,
They're
okay.
called that vegan couple. They're from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny. But if you don't mind me asking, so how did you meet her? Your wife.
Oh,
What's her name? Do you mind us saying what her name is?
Sayaka.
Does she
Sayaka.
Saika.
Yeah, Sayaka.
Okay.
I met Sayaka when I was little after I came to Japan. I was um, I was involved in the animal rights center activities, and Sayaka happened to find a pigeon in a park where she takes a walk with the dogs, and a pigeon with like some plastic things wrapped around uh, the pigeon's legs, feet. And
Like netting or something like that,
yeah,
fishing
kind
net
of
or something.
knitting. Yeah, yeah. And she wanted to help that pigeon, like, but she couldn't like uh, help the pigeon by herself. So she contacted me, um, and then I went, and um, I was able to like kind of catch the pigeon, and we were able to release the the trash, and that's how we met.
So a pigeon in trouble brought you together.
Yeah,
That's a very sweet story, actually.
yeah,
And so the pigeon's okay,
yeah. I think
and you
so.
guys are married. That's a beautiful story. I love that. That's great. So,
Yeah,
but, all right. So let's backtrack a little bit. Yeah, I was asking you about what the area you're in. Why don't you tell us now, like what the culture and the food like is where you're at right now?
culture of the food.
Yeah. Well, because food is a big part of culture.
Yeah,
Um, but but both culture and food. What is it like around you right now?
in Japan, well, like traditionally, like kind of food that my grandma cooked is very healthy, actually, I'd say. Like we have miso soup and rice and pickled vegetables, and and then also fish. Like people eat fish, and that was that kind of that's that kind of, and a lot of seaweed too, and that's kind of the standard meal in Japan traditionally. But lately it's changed. It has not lately, but like in the past several decades after the war, food culture has changed a lot because of mostly American influence, I think. So people started drinking milk and eating a lot more meat, and a lot of there are a lot of like
A lot of
foreign.
westernized, like McDonald's and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
fast
very,
food.
and KFC, like that's super popular in Japan. So a lot of people are eating that kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I found that a lot of places that I've talked to people, like, KFC always gets brought up. I'm starting to wonder if they're not in more places than McDonald's is. Um, but I mean, I even when I was in the Middle East on vacation one time, I saw KFC. I was just shocked. I don't know. It was a weird thing to see a KFC
yeah,
in the Middle East.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you always kind of expect an island country to, of course, have fishing industry and stuff like that, and have sea animals on the plate because that's just going to be part of the what they grew up with. That's what they had available around them. But to be honest with you, I've always thought of Japanese culture. I've always identified it with more vegetables. To be honest,
yeah. Actually, it is very vegetable
in my
centric.
head, yeah.
Actually, it's very very vegetable centric for about 1,200 years. From the year 400 to like 1600 until there was more European influence. Japan actually pretty much had banned meat
Really?
for Buddhist principles. Yeah, to not harm anyone. Yeah, so
Yeah, I didn't look up what the religious influences were in the area, but would you say Buddhism is pretty high up there?
yeah, it's one of the main religions here, and but now it doesn't affect it doesn't have much influence on people in terms of diet anymore,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah,
Yeah, because what I find funny is what you're telling me here is all the Western influence is bringing in all the meat and the fast food and stuff and the meat heavy dishes. And you hear so many people trying to argue nowadays uh, that white veganism, is colonization,
mm,
when really it's colonization brought meat and agriculture. So yeah, so I would say it's really the Western influence and the colonization is what's brought in a lot of heavy meat dishes and meat eating into a lot of cultures.
right,
Not veganism. I mean, veganism isn't what's ruining the environment and all that stuff.
right, right.
Anyway, it's just funny how people say stuff like that. So, how long have you been vegan?
About 5.5 years now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So, can I ask? You were vegan when you met your wife.
yeah.
Was she vegan?
Not quite, not quite.
Okay.
Uh, she was almost. She was still having some dairy products like ice cream and maybe yogurt and some eggs. Yeah,
So, as you guys got to know each other, you kind of educated her on some of that stuff.
yeah. We both had. She also cared a lot about animals. So when I told her about some, you know, realities behind the eggs and dairy industries, um, yeah, she stopped. And also, she used to think that fish don't feel pain. Fishes don't feel pain.
Yeah.
So I talked about that as well, and yeah. So,
Well, that's great that she was receptive to that, and
mm-hmm.
that now you guys work together, don't you? Does
Yeah.
she work? Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So it was
Oh,
all kismet. That pigeon was sent
what is it?
to get you.
A
That
pigeon. Yeah.
pigeon was sent by a higher up power or something to get you guys
Yeah.
together and get her to go vegan. But what made you go vegan? Would you say 5 years ago? Five and a half?
Yeah. Actually, I had been almost vegan for many years. Actually, like since about 18 years ago was when I first. This was when I was a graduate student in Berkeley, California, actually. And on campus, I received a leaflet about, and for the first time, I learned about how the animals are treated who become meat. And I was very shocked, and that's when I stopped eating meat. And then a few years later,
So
I
you went
joined.
vegetarian?
At that time, I was pretty much vegetarian. Not exactly because I was still eating fish, seafood. Um, yeah. So,
Okay.
but I basically stopped meat, and then a few years later, I joined a vegetarian co-op, like a share hub, like a co-op, with about 60 people, and that was it was a very like a hippie place,
Yeah.
and
It's
yeah,
California, Berkeley.
yeah, Berkeley, and but one of the themes of that co-op was well, the main theme was vegetarianism, so no meat was allowed, and there was a vegan workshop there shortly after I arrived, and I learned about the eggs and dairy as well. So I stopped those, and I loved that place so much that I ended up living there for the rest of my time as a graduate student for like 3.5 years, and yeah. So during that time, in terms of my eating habits, I was all plant based, and I really resonated with the vegan values, and but then as I said before, my focus was still on all about like astronomy and like space exploration. So that was my main thing, and the food diet thing was secondary. So yeah, and then but about 5.5 years ago, I was volunteering at Midway Atoll. Do you know Midway? It's an island or atoll in the Pacific Ocean
No,
between
I've
Hawaii
never.
and Japan.
Okay,
And
no, I don't think I've heard of it.
yeah, it's now, it used to be a naval airfield by the U.S. Navy, but now it's a like a conservation area, protected area for mostly for seabirds, and I volunteered there for half a year. And when I was volunteering there,
So it's not really inhabited. It's just kind of.
no, it's just it's by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It's managed by them, and
What was that like living there?
oh, that was the most amazing place I've ever lived, actually, because it was
Pretty
just basically,
isolated, huh?
yeah. I had actually worked and lived in very isolated places before, like actually including Antarctica and like Greenland and places like that.
Wow.
But Midway was the most amazing because it was basically a land of birds. There were millions of birds in a very small island, and uh, all day long, all night long, I could hear the wild birds like talking, and I was able to see like there were a lot of albatross chicks growing up, and so yeah, it was still my favorite place. But
Wow.
anyways, one of the fellow, there were three volunteers, including myself, and one of the fellow volunteers was a complete vegan. He was complete vegan, and
And was he able to stay vegan while there?
what?
Wh- You said one of the volunteers living on that island
Yeah,
with you? Was he able
yeah.
to stay vegan while he was
Oh yeah,
there?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And shortly after I met him, we started at the same time. We were on the same 6 months, you know, gig, and um, yeah. Shortly after I met him, I was like, oh, if he can be a vegan and be vegan, I can too. And like, I was like, yeah, like I used to eat. I was not even eating any like farmed fish. I was really against aquaculture, farming.
Or guess what?
I was really against farming animals
Okay.
like fish, including aquaculture. So if I was eating, but I was still eating like wild fish and things. So yeah, but I was like, oh, it's not worth taking someone's life. Just like if I don't have to, I mean, I can live without it. So I, at that time, I stopped basically. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. So you have a lot of little tiny influences that just build up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. So, are any of your family or friends, besides your wife, are any of your family or friends vegan?
No. Oh, friends. Yeah. Yeah. All my um, fellow, you know, colleagues at Animal Rights Center are
So you,
vegan.
that's basically who your friends are, is the people you work in the animal rights.
Oh no, I have pretty wide range of friends.
Okay.
So most of my friends are not vegan. Um, but there are quite a few like vegan friends. Not none of my family members are, except
Okay.
although my sister, I have two sisters. One of my sisters is kind of vegan, like at home vegan or something. Yeah,
At
and
home.
she's actually in the recently in the past several months she's been actually even doing activism for animal rights. Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
She has to walk the walk if she's going to talk the talk. You got to let her know that. So,
Yeah.
but now that you're married and you've merged families and you're both vegan, what do your families think of your veganism?
Oh, like well,
I mean,
like
are your families, both of your families near you right now?
Sayaka's parents are in Fukuoka as well, in the same town, and her dad is pretty quite understanding. Like he only in the past year, like she started talking to him about meat and animals, and showed him like many videos of like how the broiler chickens are raised and things like that. And he started finally. He's like 70 years old or something, but after many years, he finally started saying like he doesn't want to eat meat anymore. Yeah, so he avoids quite a bit now.
That's
But
wonderful.
her mom is somewhat understanding, but in practice yeah, she doesn't practice. But when we talk to her about the situations of the animals, she resonates. But it's difficult for her to turn that into practice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
What
and
about your
similar with
family? What does your family think about your veganism?
yeah,
Your
similar
own
with
family.
my family. Like so, my sister Seika is very understanding, and she yeah, and my other sister, she also she loves animals, and she also is pretty supportive. But she's married to a fisherman, so
Mm.
it's quite difficult. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and my mom, yeah, she's actually donating to Animal Rights Center now every month. So
Your mom?
yeah, she's supportive of our, yeah, my what I do. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but my father, uh, he kind of understands, but he wishes that I stayed on with like I used to work at SpaceX. Do you know SpaceX? Elon Musk's company.
No,
Yeah, like a
sorry.
spaceship company.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think he wishes that he thinks I should have pursued my space exploration interest and kept working with like NASA and like SpaceX and stuff.
Well, that's easier for him to brag to his friends about, I guess. Rather
Yeah.
than my son works for an animal rights.
Yeah.
Oh well. Oh well, what can you do? So, would you say it's easy or hard to be vegan where you live? Like, for example, restaurant options, grocery options. Do you guys get Beyond Burgers, stuff like that around there?
No.
No?
I'd say it's quite hard in Japan. I mean,
Is it hard to be
compared
vegan in Japan?
compared to many other countries, including the U.S. Yeah, I'd say it's quite hard. What is difficult is like relationship things. Like uh, Japanese people often like when eating out with others or like with colleagues at at work. It's very difficult. Many restaurants in Japan don't have vegan options.
Really?
Actually,
So how do
oh,
you get along easily? How?
oh, um, it's easy because I don't have much expectations. I guess like I'm okay if I don't eat anything or if I eat just what I can. What I Yeah, and so and
You're not saying that you're starving yourself.
I can just eat later. Um,
So
or
you're saying that you don't feel pressure to eat in social situations where there's not an option, is what you're saying,
right,
like
right,
some other people will. So
right.
really, when I ask that question, and the reason I ask that question, and the reason I do this series, is to find out, is it possible to be vegan wherever you are?
Oh,
So the real question is like not necessarily, because that comes to, because you're it really comes to my next question, which would be, what is the struggles? I think you're addressing what is the struggles.
mm-hmm,
But let's say, for example, like I came over there to visit as a vegan.
yeah.
Is it easy or hard for me to stay vegan?
Oh, for you it's easy.
Okay.
Uh, well, it's easy at least in the cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always find a lot of vegetables. Well, yeah, but at restaurants it will be difficult to find.
What
Many
about,
dishes have fish stocks and stuff, broth.
yeah. So what about grocery stores and stuff? I mean, you said you don't have
Oh,
the Beyond Burgers, but uh, you got plenty of tofu, I'm sure.
yeah, there's a lot
And
of tofu.
tempeh and
No temp. You almost never
really?
find temp here, right?
Really?
Only in like health food stores. Yeah, tempeh. Most
That's
people,
so funny.
most people in Japan don't know tempeh. Have never heard of it.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know why I was under the impression. I mean, I guess it's a soy product. It's like
right,
it's soybean. So
right. But there's natto.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of tempeh. It's a texture thing for me. It
Okay.
is. It's just a texture thing.
Yeah.
Um, but for some reason, I always got the impression that it was a
Yeah.
Japanese thing.
Yeah.
Um, that's funny. But I'm going to find plenty of vegetables. You can be vegan.
Oh yeah.
Is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Um,
Definitely.
you're not like, well, heck, you were doing it like the scenario you were talking about with the guy that helped you turn vegan in that small island. That's almost like the, what are you going to do on the vegan on a desert island with a pig? It's, you stay
Yeah.
vegan there, you're going to stay vegan in Japan, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. The reason that I was like not vegan for a long time, for many years, was that I was working in like many remote places, like I said, Antarctica, Greenland, and Alaska, and those places where other people were cooking for me, like at research stations, and and nobody else was even vegetarian. So I was like, it was hard kind of for me to just ask for like a vegan to have vegan option cooked every time just just for myself. So I was like giving
So
in, and I was
mainly, you would say that's what I would ask next is what are the struggles? Mainly, you're saying culturally, it's a
yeah,
struggle because of
yeah,
just in your culture, your level of politeness, whereas
yeah, yeah,
we might
yeah.
not be so as polite in other parts of the world.
Yeah, especially in work situation. Like I'm just working at a nonprofit, like animal rights center
Yeah,
nonprofit. So it's not. It's the exception. But for normal work situations in Japan, uh, oftentimes it's very difficult to say no when you're offered something. Like
yeah.
if someone puts meat on your plate, like
Mm.
yeah, it's hard to say no.
So the
Especially
struggles is cultural.
yeah.
But what about well, we're talked about accessibility of foods, which is available to you. I mean, it can be found. I'm sure you have farmers markets and stuff like that where you're going to find plenty of fresh vegetables. No, you don't have farmers markets where you find vegetables. And
Oh, not farmers markets, but
well, I guess
just
we'd call them farmers markets
grocery
here,
stores.
but markets where you find fresh
Yeah,
produce and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
But what about like, for example, toiletries, like shampoos and even makeups for women and stuff like that. Can you find vegan and cruelty-free
If
products?
you look, yeah, if you look, like
It's
there's
available.
Lush Japan is pretty popular.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. That's wonderful. Okay, so it's just it's built into the culture a little deeper than most places, maybe.
yeah,
As far as like social situations being able to say no.
yeah,
But you found a way to do it. So
yeah. Well, partly because I'm in a pretty easy position where, yeah, I don't like when I was in Japan. Oh, I mean, I am in Japan, but when I was in Tokyo, uh, well, I moved to Fukuoka only after COVID broke out, so I haven't had much chance to like eat out with other non-vegan friends. So,
yeah,
but when I was in Tokyo, uh, Tokyo has a bunch of options. I mean, not like vegan or vegetarian restaurants, so it was easy.
they
Yeah,
do have a lot of those. You say,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't I don't go out that much to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I cook more than I go out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's getting easier where I live and all around. There's more
Mm.
places opening up, but yeah, I mean, even if you can't find something, there's always potatoes.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
fries,
Right.
fries and a salad. When I first went vegan 15 years ago, in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, you heard of Lafayette, Indiana?
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard
Okay,
of.
yeah, no, they have Purdue University there.
Right.
But basically, it was nowhere, Indiana, to me. But it's just like a factory and farmland, and it was 15 years ago. So it was like there was one little health food store where you could get vegan mayo, and I didn't know how to cook tofu, but I still did it. I still did it. I didn't go out to eat. I had a lot of fries and salad when I went out to eat, and
Right.
vinaigrette.
Right.
but you find a way. But yeah, it's a lot easier now. A lot easier.
Nice.
So have people. All right. So we talked about you obviously can be vegan where you're at because you're doing it. Your wife's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but how people view animal rights where you live? You've got the place that you work at. How do people view animal rights? How would you say the regular everyday person on the streets views that? Like what
Um.
you do on the streets, the activism and stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah. Yeah. That.
What kind of
That.
reactions do you get?
People think that's extreme. Like we are very strict and extreme and somewhat militant, and like that's the first and scary. Those are the main impressions. Even I used to have some. I used to kind of have that impression when I first saw like people on the street doing activism, animal rights activism. But
You
when
thought they were scary?
I was like not scared, or at least like it, because in Japan, in Japanese culture, it's very uncommon to speak out for something. Yeah, especially in public. So it's very unusual, and it's very so it does look yeah, somewhat not scared, maybe not scary, but yeah, like yeah, almost scared.
Uncomfortable, out of
Yeah,
your comfort zone.
yeah, yeah, like whoa, why are they doing so much?
Not what you do in polite society.
Right, right. Yeah. Only when I personally met those people, I was like, I learned that, whoa, they're like the sweetest people I've ever met. And so that was, the contrast was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So most people, yeah, that's the impression.
So, what kind of activism do you do on the streets? Do you just hand out leaflets? Do you hand out food samples? Do you do like AV, anonymous for the voiceless type stuff where you show footage? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm an organizer for Cube of Truth, AV in
Okay.
Seoul.
Okay.
And also as Animal Rights Center, we do like well, actually, with Vegan Couple Japan, Sayaka and I organize many activism of just like showing videos, and also using props like cages, and like also many like posters, signs, and
Okay.
yeah, leaflets. We don't do we want to do food sampling, but
Mm-hmm.
it's in Japan. I guess it's difficult to get permission for
Yeah.
that. It's technically, yeah, you have to get like a real permission to serve food.
Yeah.
So we haven't been able to do that. But yeah,
Well, that's great. I mean, so when you do a cubicure, of course, you show footage. Do you have good conversations? Do you end up having good conversations with people
yeah.
on the street?
Many people just like walk away, or like just say like, "Oh, that's scary," and walk away. But
It is
the
scary. What? Don't pay for it.
yeah, the people that we talk to, we have very good conversations, and many people say that they want to stop eating meat.
So you have a chapter in the area that you're in right now, right?
Yeah, in Fukuoka, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a lot of tourism there? You said it's a smaller
Uh,
town. Do you get much tourism?
oh no, it's actually the fifth largest
Oh
city
no,
in
I'm
Japan,
sorry. You said it was a big city. You did say it
fifth
was a
or
big city.
sixth. Well, compared to Tokyo and stuff, it's
Yeah.
much smaller. But
But I know I
tour.
had never heard of it. So
Oh yeah,
it's kind of
it's
off the beaten path of tourism. Is it? Is it?
yeah,
Or
it's
is it?
pretty far from most people visit. So as you saw on the map, it's like way in the west. So and there's
I
not
guess my
that much.
question I was getting to is, do you get more locals at your cubes that you talk to, or do
Oh
you
yeah,
get a lot of
yeah,
tourists?
mostly locals, especially now with the COVID situation. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
Change hearts and minds of the people there.
yeah.
So,
But when I was, we were doing a lot of activism in Tokyo in as well, and there are a bunch of tourists. Yeah, in
oh,
Tokyo.
so you've done some cubes there too in Tokyo.
Not cubes, but our animal rights centers. We did activism like twice a week, every week.
How far is Tokyo from you?
Oh, Tokyo is about on the airplane. It's like an hour and a half, a couple hours.
So you have to fly.
Yeah,
I didn't really take a look at like compare the distances when we were looking on the map. I just zoomed in where you were at, but
yeah,
so
it's
you're
quite
pretty far.
far.
Okay, okay. So what would you say of all the activism that you do? What would you say is your favorite form of activism?
Favorite form of activism? Um, hmm. It's
You don't
difficult.
have to like choose a specific organization, but what do you like? Do you like doing like where you show
I,
graphic footage and give people
yeah,
information? Do you like giving out food? Do you like what's your
yeah,
favorite for?
yeah. So I'd say my favorite is like with Sayaka, we've used a projector to project the like the minion footage on a big screen
Yeah.
street, and that was very eye catching, and we were able to talk to a lot of people doing that. So that might be my favorite. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we did some of that when I was in Mexico City and did some of that on the streets there. Got good
Mm.
reactions from people. Got a lot of
Mhm.
conversations from that.
Yeah.
I personally, I like showing the graphic footage because it gets to the point and exposes it. And I think it starts conversations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I like as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So
We
I
have
think
tried.
that's why I think that's why I gravitated towards doing AV and that
Right.
style of
Right.
activism
Yeah.
myself. So
Yeah. We Sayaka and I have tried more like mellow, like easy to watch things as well, but it doesn't catch as much attention.
yeah, I don't think it does either. It doesn't really grab people.
Hmm.
Like yeah,
Right.
you're either gonna get the people who just totally want to avoid it, or you're gonna get the important conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So um, if a vegan visits where you live, where should they go? That doesn't have to be a restaurant. You said you don't have a lot of vegan restaurants around you, but it
Oh,
can be if you
in
want. But where do you think they should go?
um, well, in Fukuoka there are not very many vegan restaurants. Maybe just a few, a couple. Yeah, maybe three or something like that. Um, where should they go? Well, not. They should come visit us.
Okay,
We're
that's fair enough.
yeah, we're in a interesting part of the town where it's we have nice parks and we got two cute rescued dogs and
There you go.
yeah, and but one thing I might recommend is well there's like Fukuoka is very famous for ramen, you know, ramen.
Yeah, ramen. Yeah.
Yeah. um
Anybody? I live next to a college, and anybody that's been to college or around a college knows what ramen is.
yeah, that's right. But there's one ramen place that also serves vegan version, and I might recommend that. It's quite good. Tastes good.
Sounds good. I like ramen. I like ramen. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. What about your beaches around there? Are you near? You're right on the beach.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
recommend that too.
you got some nice beaches there.
Yeah, we are fairly close to the ocean, and we Sayaka and I have organized a lot of beach cleanups too. So
Oh, that's
there are a lot of
nice.
plastic trash too, but it's good for swimming, and yeah, it's nice.
That's nice. Yeah. So, what's your favorite local vegan dish they should try? Oh, well, you just told us ramen, right?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite local dish. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Local. But what about anywhere in Japan? What would be your
Oh,
favorite
anyway,
vegan
favorite.
dish,
Um.
or that
Hmm.
can be veganized easily?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Well, like, you know, unagi.
Yeah.
You know, you know unagi,
Yeah.
the eel.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah,
used to
like,
eat unagi.
uh,
I used to
that's
eat
very
unagi before
popular
I
in
was
Japan,
vegan.
fortunately.
Yeah.
Uh, but some
Sushi is
restaurants,
very popular everywhere. So.
yeah, right. But some vegan restaurants have made like plant-based versions of it. And yeah, that's
I've seen like tuna made out of tomatoes and stuff like that.
okay. Right. So yeah, I might recommend like plant-based versions of Japanese traditional dishes like that. Yeah, like unagi.
Is there places to find that? Probably in
Yeah,
Tokyo.
yeah. In Tokyo, there's what was it called? It was like rated the best place on Happy Cow or something like that.
Is that how
Saido.
you found it?
I through words of mouth. Yeah.
Then they could find it on Happy Cow then.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was called?
Saido.
Sido?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you have a link to it, we'll include that too. So.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So, and how can they get involved in the local vegan community if they come there?
Oh, they should definitely contact Animal Rights Center, Japan. We have a website and we have many events. And also depends on where you go, which part of Japan you go. Several cities have AV chapters.
Okay.
So
So, what
including
else does the Animal Rights Center do? What do you guys do? I mean, you do street activism?
oh, we do everything actually. We do everything, including like more political lobbying activities and
Okay.
also corporate engagement, like pushing for pushing companies to at least go cage free or like things like that. We work
So
with
you guys
producers.
do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, animal welfare as well, and also public education. Yeah.
Do you have a very big vegan community there? I mean, is that like a center to where the vegan community can converge and work together or meet each other or?
Mm. Well, Animal Rights Center has only a staff of 4 people, 4 staff members, including
Oh,
myself, and but we have volunteers like in the tents, um, and well, I wouldn't say we have a very strong community yet of activism. Yeah,
yeah,
you
you got
can
to build
find
that
it.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's difficult.
yeah. I think it's difficult everywhere,
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
So I've
But
known
you,
some people. I've seen some people online, and they're like, "I don't know any vegans at all," and I'm like, "Well, there's a group that is in your town, but it's not like you're necessarily going to run into these people when you go out,
right, right,
or you don't. They don't do activism. They only want to be involved in the food side of it. They just want to know
right,
where
right.
they can go to eat.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
it's particularly hard in the activist scene, but
yeah.
you do. Just keep trying. Just
Hmm.
keep keep going out there and speaking for the animals. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, finally, I want to ask you. We've been on here about an hour now, and
Mm.
wow, it's been really easy. It didn't even feel like an hour, to be honest with you. Yeah. Um, but I want to ask you, where would you like to visit one day? You've traveled a bit, but maybe there's a place that you haven't gone to. Where would you like to
Right.
visit one day and learn about veganism there?
Yeah, I actually haven't been to much of the Middle East yet, and I would love to go to Israel uh, to learn about veganism and activism there, because I
Yeah.
know that like veganism is spreading fast there, and I want to learn from them what it's like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, I do have one surprise question.
Okay.
Do you like pizza?
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. So, pineapple on pizza. Yes or no?
Hide apple.
Pineapple.
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 Personally, not really. I mean,
No? Are you a
some,
no?
If I had to choose between a yes and no, I'd lean toward no.
Oh no, you just ruined my streak.
Did we cancel this interview?
Yeah, forget it. You're out of here. No.
Well,
Oh,
but it's
we were on a
acceptable.
streak. We were on a
I,
streak for a while. When I first started asking that question, I actually had quite a few people say no, and I was like really bummed out. And then it seemed like I was going pretty good there for a while, and people were saying yes. Like
yeah,
Fiji and Jamaica,
I
they
don't
said
mind
yes.
it.
You don't
I
hate it though.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
If anything, I probably like it, but it's not necessary.
It's not necessary. It is necessary. What are you talking about? Blasphemy. There's always see the reason that came about is because well, first of all, I have some friends from the UK that has some YouTube channel, and they always ask the question, tofu or tempeh,
uh,
and uh, and then I got to thinking about it. I was like, people always have this argument, and I mean, they get really heated over to pineapple on pizza. Have you ever seen that? Have
no,
you ever seen people like literally get into fights over pineapple on pizza?
no.
Like, you should be shot for putting pineapple on pizza, and I'm team pineapple, and we just make them mad. But that's a real thing. It's been going on for years. So I thought, well, I'm gonna have to start asking that. So
Yeah. Well, for general people, if pineapple takes up the room to put like pepperoni or other meats, I'm all for it.
there you go. There you
Yeah,
go. It's better than pepperoni,
yeah.
definitely. So this has been great. Thank you so much for being here, Yuki. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I wish you all the best with.
Thank you.
I mean, all this activism that you're doing. You're doing so much, and that's really wonderful. And the animals really need more people like you and your wife out there, and just doing all forms of activism. Whatever you're good at, just do it. Just get
Yeah.
out there and speak for the
Thanks.
animals. So, do you have anything to say before I let you go for the evening? Well, it's evening for me. It's morning for
All right.
you.
Right. Right. Well, no, I think this vegans across the world is a good, great thing. Like I hadn't heard of it before, but
I'm
it's
still a very small channel. I'm trying hard to build up, but
yeah, because sometimes we feel too focused within our country
a little
about
isolated. Yeah,
but it's a movement everywhere in the
yeah.
world, so that's um, no, I want to support that, and I hope I want to hear more about like how it is in other countries because each country has each culture has very unique challenges. I'm sure, like in Japan
But you
too.
know what I find? Um, you might be one of the more unique ones, just because of how strictly polite
Mm.
the system is there in your culture. Um, but I have found that we actually have so many things in common.
Uh,
Everybody that I've talked to,
right, right.
vegans around the world, no matter what culture they're from, it's amazing the things that we have in common, no
Mm-hmm,
matter where
mm-hmm.
we are.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And
but
finally,
go
uh,
ahead.
Sayaka is sad not to be able to join, but I'm teaching her English. She's trying to learn English, so
She can't come on and say konnichiwa.
yeah.
Tell her konnichiwa.
But I'm teaching her English, so and so this is Sayaka.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Hey,
Konnichiwa.
konnichiwa.
That's all I know how to say.
Yeah, so she's studying English pretty hard. So yeah,
Great.
someday she'll be able to speak.
Wonderful. Well, you guys are a beautiful couple. Again, thank you for being a voice for the animals. We
Yeah.
want to thank the pigeon for bringing you guys together. You can tell her what I said after we're done. But yeah, it's getting late for me, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And everybody, anything they want to check out the links below. and they can get in contact with you guys on social media and keep up with what you're doing.
All
Okay.
right.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Are you
Thank
guys? Do you guys have a YouTube channel, podcast, anything like that, or is it just
you.
typing right
We're trying to start a YouTube channel, but we're basically on Instagram so far.
now? Okay. Well,
Yep.
we'll keep an eye out for that. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So, all right. Well, you have a wonderful day.
You
Thank you
too. Good
so
night.
much. It was a pleasure meeting you. We'll keep in touch. Okay.
Yeah. Nice
I'll
meeting
let
you.
you go.
Bye.
Okay. Bye bye. All right. Thank you so much. So, again, guys, another great guest. I'm so happy. I'm so lucky to meet these people. Again, thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I forgot to mention, I was going to tell him, I'll send him a text. He's my 30th guest. My 30th guest. I think every 10 is a milestone. I've been doing this for about 6 months now. For you guys that have been sticking around and all the new subscribers, I really appreciate it. If you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please, please subscribe and like, comment, share. Let other people around know about these videos and know about people around the world. Let them know that they're not alone and that you can be vegan wherever you are. And if you want to know who I'm having next week, you're just going to have to show up. Love ya. Bye.